welcome back to the Sports Countdown podcast with Declan Hughes and Peter Lynch. Declan, how are you getting on today, mate?
Not bad, mate. Yourself?
All good, all good. Good to be back. Today we're just going to be talking Champions League, Europa League and Conference League draws, which just took place yesterday. We'll get stuck into all that in a second, but just before we get started, just a quick shout out to Freelance Football Ops. They're a top group who source paid football media roles, so you can give them a shout on Twitter or LinkedIn if you're looking for a job in the industry right now. So, got to start with the Champions League, the big one. Probably have to begin with the whole mess they made of the draw. Bit of a balls up there, for excuse the pun. Did not mean that at all. But yeah, I'm annoyed, to be honest, because as a Liverpool fan, we got Salzburg. You know, it's probably the easiest tie we could have got with respect to them, but compared to the other teams that we could have got. And also, I would have been keen to see Messi and Ronaldo going head to head again with United PSG, but it wasn't meant to be. So it is what it is. But you made a cheeky comment about UEFA being corrupt. You think that's the case, do you? Or it wasn't a mix-up?
I mean, they've got so long to plot this out. Do you know what I mean? I know it's really complicated, like all the little logistics that go in behind it. That you can't be in the same pot as you can't draw a country from you or a team from your same country or from the same group, and it can be a lot of logistics behind it. But they've done it for a long time, so it just seems really. I don't know how you can mess it up. It's just that is what it is. Do you know what I mean? But we've still got some really good ties to come.
Yeah, spot on. Got to start with the biggest one, I think. PSG against Real Madrid. Madrid topped their group, 8 points clear at La Liga as well. You know, they're flying away in Spain. And I think two men in particular have to highlight, Benzema and Vinicius Jr. For me, they've both been unbelievable. You know, 18 goals and 8 assists for Benzema in 21 games. And Vinicius has 12 goals and 9 assists. But PSG, I know we talked about it before. It's kind of the same old story there, isn't it? You know, they're flying. They're 13 points clear at the top in France. But, you know, can they win the Champions League is the question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure we've done a podcast before where we talked about Benzema, right? And how underrated he is. And I think he's just proven that he's still the main man at Real Madrid, even though he's well into his 30s now as well. He's still banging them in. But that'll definitely be an interesting game when Messi gets a bad tackle and it's Ramos that's going up to back him up. So Ramos as well going up against his old team as well. It's going to be fireworks, I think. Really interesting game. But I mean, you'd have to say Real Madrid on form are probably the favourites going into that as it stands. But you just can't rule out PSG with the talent they've got. Do you know what I mean? But it's a lot of pressure on Pochettino as well. I think this might be, as you said, it's like the manager that's brought in there is just, you need to win the Champions League, right? They've came close once, but it's just not been good enough for the amount of money they pump into it. But that'll be a really, really good tie. But I think you've also got Inter Milan, Liverpool will be a good game. Liverpool, we just discussed, are flying right now, domestically and in the Champions League, obviously setting that record, the English record, 6 wins in a row in the group stage.
Yeah.
Just cruised through the group, which was a difficult group. It 100%. Definitely wasn't one that was just going to be comfortable for them, with some really good teams in there. Atletico Madrid being one of them as well, who came a couple of years ago and won at Anfield and knocked Liverpool out. So great result. Away from home there and at home to do that as well. But the other tie is Atletico and Man U. I think that'll be a really interesting one. How Man U are setting out under Ranić to press and be compact, and we know also how Simeone sets out just to be really defensive and hit on the break. That'll be an intriguing game. Ronaldo obviously loves goals against Atletico. I think I read that we've only conceded 4 hat tricks before Atletico, and the solid, and Ronaldo's got all 4 of them. It's 3 or 4. It's a mad stat, but I'm sure he'll love going up against Atletico again. But those are the standout kind of ties for me in the Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, just touching on Ronaldo there, you mentioned his goals. I thought I'd have to look up before it all started. This podcast, he's got 25 goals in 35 games against Atletico. And I mean, just ridiculous hat-trick for Madrid against them, I think, and then that hat-trick for Juve, which everybody remembers. They were dead and buried in that tie, and Ronaldo brought them back to life. So that should give United some confidence. I know they've already relied on Ronaldo so much in this Champions League. You know, he scored so many goals, so many late goals. Also giving them confidence, I think, is the fact that Liverpool beat them twice in the group stages. And they're fourth in the league at the minute. They back, you know, not conceding goals under Simeone, but for whatever reason that's changed. So they're not the side they used to be, but unfortunately neither are United at the minute. So who knows what will happen there? It'll be an interesting one. As for Liverpool, you talked about it, 6 wins from 6 in a really tough group. Yeah, we've been unbelievable this season, and Salah's been key to that. You know, I think he has 7 goals in the Champions League this season, just ridiculous. But I'm not taking Inter Milan lightly, to be honest. I know you're not convinced, but Inter are top of the league in Serie A at the minute. I don't think many people have realised that, but they've kind of gone under the radar. It was Milan and Napoli that were sitting at the top. Juventus have been really bad this season, but Inter quietly just crept up to the top. They've only lost 1 game. That was against Lazio. And they had a lot of problems. You know, in the summer, they lost Conte, obviously, in the dugout. They lost Lukaku, Hakimi. But again, they've gone under the radar with their signings. They brought in Denzel Dumfries from PSV, you know, one of the stars of the Euros for Holland, and Dzeko as well up top, who's just banging the goals in. And they've kept the likes of, you know, Barella. He's actually been linked with Liverpool. They've kept Brozovic, Handanovic, you know, Skriniar, all the top players. So I think Inzaghi's done a really good job there to bring them to the top of the table. So I think that'll be a tight one, definitely. But I mean, they haven't come up against Salah yet. So that's all that needs to be said, really.
Spot on. We'll touch on the Europa League draw. What do you make of that? Some big ties in there as well that'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I mean, first things first, I would say it's almost like a Champions League draw with some of those teams that are in there. You know, you have Barcelona against Napoli, Porto against Lazio. But I think you have to start with the one bit closer to home in Rangers against Borussia Dortmund. You know, it's such a cool draw for Rangers fans. I think, you know, to see the likes of Haaland, Royce, Bellingham all coming to Ibrox, you know, especially young kids watching that's just amazing to watch. But I think they might be a bit disappointed. I don't know if I should be saying it, but I mean, it's all about money these days. It really is. And I think with every game you win, it's more important than, you know, it's more important than who you're playing against, but you'd rather get maybe a weaker side at this stage of the competition to actually get into the knockout rounds, you know what I mean? And maybe get a Dortmund or a Barcelona in the latter stages. Because it's, you know, it is crucial to get wins, to get money in Europe. But, you know, don't take anything away from the tie. It's Dortmund. You're going to be seeing Haaland, he's going to be right up there with one of the best players in the world in the next couple of years. He's already there, definitely. So I think that's a good tie. And Van Bronckhorst is unbeaten. I know you don't like to hear it, but he's unbeaten as Rangers manager. 5 games now in a row that they haven't lost. So pretty good start.
I mean, it is a good tie, but kind of like as you're saying, this is what's just going to happen now with the 3 tournaments, like this whole like qualifying knockout stage before you get to like the last 16. Like if you finish second in your Europa League group, you're just going to you're facing a Champions League team instantly, you know, almost guaranteeing it. So it was always going to be like a tough draw for Rangers, but as you said, like both sets of fans will create a great atmosphere at both stadiums. It's a stadium that I'd love to go to and go to Dortmund. Yeah, I've been there a few times, so don't worry about that. No, Dortmund. That'll be mental. Like if Rangers fans can get in over there, minus restrictions, obviously. Be unreal to go there, you know. But it'll be an interesting game. I don't think. Well, mate, I don't know. It's Rangers have done very well under Van Bronckhorst so far, but you would think if Dortmund start their full team, that it should be comfortable, but you never know. But you did touch on Napoli Barcelona like 3 years ago. That would have been a big Champions League tie, as you said. Barcelona really, really struggling right now. It's not looking good. I just think you ever seen a Barcelona team this poor? Like
No.
it's very concerning. I think they might. I don't really know a lot about Napoli now. Obviously, they've lost a lot of players, and they'd Ancelotti in there, and they were unreal. But I don't know. I don't think they're the same like team they were before either. It's like two teams really on a decline from the last few years when they were at the peak of Europe.
Yeah. I mean, they still have the likes of Insigne, Osimhen up top. He's banging the goals in. He's been injured for a little while, so I think they missed him definitely. Striker, Koulibaly at the back. But you mentioned Barcelona. I think it's the first time they've been in the second tier of Europe. Europa League, UEFA Cup, whatever you want to call it, since 2003, 2004. So I mean, long.
And do you know who they played? And they got knocked out by that year as well.
I think it might have been your boys, yeah. The way you're chatting.
I remember that. That'd have been, if I'm right, that might have been the David Marshall when he first broke through when he was like a teenager, right. And we went to Camp Nou and we drew 0-0, and he was unbelievable. I think that might be the same season. I think we might have won 1-0 at Celtic Park. I think John Hart it was either John Hartson or Alan Thompson that scored. I think it was Alan Thompson, and we won 1-0, I think, and then we drew 0-0 at the Camp Nou. Such a long time ago, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it just shows how bad times are at Barcelona. I think to fall from, that far. Xavi, there was a lot of talk about him when he came in about changing things around. He's got 2 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses so far. One of those was 3-0 Bayern Munich, and that they've been knocked out of the Champions League group behind Benfica. I don't think that's probably unheard of, in Barcelona's history. Just reading news as well that Sergio Aguero might retire tomorrow.
Yep.
Because of a heart problem, a chest problem. So it's kind of going from bad to worse there. So, and yeah, as for Napoli, I would say they had a little bit of a tough group. They had Leicester in there as well. I think Spartak Moscow might have been in that group. But again, no excuses from them. I'd say they'd be, disappointed not to top that group. I think they missed out on either goal difference or head to head. So yeah, but 2 teams that have kind of slipped over the years.
Well, I mean, you look at that. This is only the pre-last 16 draw, so they're still the teams that finished first in the Europa League. But you've got Dortmund, Rangers, Real Betis was in Celtic's group, played decently well. Barcelona, Porto, Lazio, Sevilla have won it, numerous times. Atalanta. Yeah. We've got so many great teams in there, and that's not even the last 16 yet. So that tournament's going to be really, really competitive. I think from here on in, it's not good for lesser, for example, Celtic and stuff and Rangers. It's not going to be easy for us to go on longer runs in the Europa League now. You want to put the Champions League, but you even look at the Europa League, the teams in it now at this stage, it's going to be so difficult, but I guess that's why the Conference League is there to keep us in Europe for
absolutely
after January.
Well, we can talk about that just before my laptop dies. I need to save us here.
Well, again, you look at some of the teams in the conference, and some of these teams have been playing in the Champions League the last few years. Like Midtjylland's in it now, and they were in the Champions League last season. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Fenerbahce.
Yeah.
Slavia Prague went on a good run in the Europa League last season. Leicester's in there.
Yeah.
Celtic, obviously, a big team. Marseille, PSV,
Leicester as well.
Leicester, Rapid Vienna as well. These teams were knocking on the door of playing in the Champions League not that long ago, and now it's the third tier of European football.
Yeah.
No, it's if you get all the top teams from these knockout kind of stages, and you get them to the latter stages, the quarterfinals, you could be looking at some really, really interesting ties as well, and Tottenham still to be determined as well. So a lot of quality teams in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you'd fancy Celtic to win that one against Bodo Glimt, but potential banana skin for me. They beat Roma 6-1 in the group stages, and they drew 2-2 at Stadio Olimpico. And that was by no means, it was a weakened Roma side, but they still had, likes of Tammy Abraham, Mkhitaryan coming off the bench, plenty of their starters. But interesting read there that Celtic are after the captain, Patrick Berg, from that side. So a defensive midfielder, I'm not sure how true that is, but I mean, that would be interesting if they signed him. I think they're looking at in January because the ties would obviously be played in February, so we might have a new team by then.
Yeah, I did hear whispers of that as well, but I think a podcast that I follow, they were like doing analytics on him before they played Roma actually, and said that it would be a perfect fit for Celtic. So that'd be kind of interesting to see if that does come, and then that would be a huge boost for us if you get their skipper in.
Yeah,
but but no, it'll be interesting. Hopefully, they can get through, and then you're hoping for a top tie as well. Like PSV as well. Like another team that probably shouldn't be in a conference league. They played Midtjylland in from the Champions League qualifiers. Celtic played Midtjylland, who knocked Celtic out, who played PSV, who knocked Midtjylland out, and now the three of them are in the conference league. So good stuff. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, 3 tournaments, it's obviously money. We just kind of discussed that a lot. You mentioned that earlier on. It's all money just to get more teams playing in Europe. Yeah. But I don't know. As like a Celtic fan, you want European football after Christmas as well. So can't really complain about it too much.
Yeah, I think
some players, but no, it'll be good. Mm-hmm. So we'll get back on track, Pete. We'll go back to the Champions League, the group stage. You observed the group stage really well. So our top 3, or a countdown, this week for you, it's going to be the top 3 players, or top 3 performances from players in the Champions League group stage.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready, let's see what you've got. Intrigue me.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm trying not to be too biased, but I mean, I kind of have to put Mo Salah in there somewhere, don't I? So yeah, he'd be my number 3. I think just the fact that he's just impossible to play against right now to stop. 7 goals in the group stages. I think he was the first Liverpool player to score in 5 group matches the same European campaign. I mean, you would just hate to be a left back at the minute in European football, in England as well. It must be all you think about going into a game of how you try and stop him, and it's just impossible at the minute.
Yep.
And then number 2, I think I have to go for Robert Lewandowski. He's got 9 goals in the competition. Bayern are scary at the minute. I think they're the ones to watch, to be honest. They're the highest scorers of the competition so far, 22 goals. They've conceded only 3. That's the joint lowest, I think, with Real Madrid. And Lewandowski, has just been immense, for them. He's always been right up there in the best in the world, and as a striker, and I think he is the best striker in the world at the minute. Obviously, unfortunate to miss out on the Ballon d'Or last year, but and he's 3rd in the all-time Champions League leaderboard for goals, behind Ronaldo and Messi. So I think I kind of want them to go to England for a bit, to have a spell there to see, to kind of just for a change or something from smashing in teams and like Augsburg and Mainz in Germany. But as long as he does it in the Champions League, then you can't really doubt him, to be honest.
Not at all.
And then number 1, I've gone for Sebastian Aller for Ajax. And I know it's not great. I'm sorry to all the defenders out there, all the strikers. It's always the way that they get all the plaudits. But, it's his debut campaign in the Champions League, and he scored 10 goals. He scored 4 on his debut against Sporting Lisbon, and then he scored in every game since then. So, I mean, it's hard to look past a player, who's done that well. I think I was there in London Stadium watching his debut for West Ham all those years ago, and I was excited. I think West Ham fans were too. He might have been their record transfer, and it just did not happen. I think, and there might have been a few reasons behind that, but I think he just didn't get enough opportunities at the end of the day. But I don't think West Ham are complaining at the minute because they're doing very well, and I don't think Haller is complaining, because he's happy at Ajax. So
no, like Ajax have just got like a really good track. Obviously, they bring through such like good young talent. We've seen recent years for a long time actually Ajax, but they also bring in some players and kind of rejuvenate their careers as well. But Tadic went in there and was fantastic as well. You know, Daley Blind went there after it was kind of hit and miss at Man U. So they've definitely got a track record of doing that, bringing players in. That's a few that have brought in from England and kind of rejuvenated their careers, you know. So absolutely. Like it's they're just a very, very well run club. And they've got a really good chance of getting to the quarters. I know they've got Benfica's in there, which are another tough. Like people forget these teams are really, really like they've been at the top. They've won the Champions League before. They've been like in the Champions League or European competition for so many years. They've got a great history of it. Like that's two top teams that have won more Champions Leagues than PSG and Man City.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you know what I mean. So
in there, didn't you?
Yeah, let's throw in there. Just these clubs deserve to be in the Champions League. And I'm glad that these kind of teams are there. And Ajax obviously came really close. The year Liverpool won it a few years ago. We're unlucky against Spurs, but no, great to see these kind of teams in here, and it's great to see even Lille. We can just to touch on that as well. Lille, last season they were playing against Celtic in the Europa League, and they've just kind of went on from strength to strength. I'm kind of sick of seeing teams do that. We play them in the Europa League, and then next season they're like in the last 16 of the Champions League. Salzburg's another example of it. Even Leipzig, I know they're not there this year, but there was a group with Celtic before, you know, seeing these teams getting there. So it's not impossible for the Scottish clubs to do it, if you think about it. But no, really interesting group stage. Anything else to add before we wrap it up, Pete?
Just touching on what you said. Maybe Ajax, the one that stands out for me. You know, just such an exciting attacking team. You mentioned all those kind of older players that they're still doing really well at that level, and I think they're mixing it with a lot of young players. They have Neres in there, Anthony, Timber at the back, Martinez as well, centre half. I mean, a lot of clubs are eyeing him at the minute. And you know, you mentioned that campaign a few years ago where they lost to Spurs. Since then, they lost, I think, you know, Frankie de Jong, Hakim Ziyech, Matthijs de Ligt. There's Donny van de Beek. I mean, absolutely crazy how they just turn things around. So definitely an example for other clubs, absolutely, and it's great to see them. And I think they're going to do well this season in the Champions League.
Yep, and then their managers kind of put their hat in the ring for the Man U job, which was on a podcast on a couple of weeks ago as well. So that would definitely be that would be interesting if he goes there and Ranić becomes like the kind of DOF after the season, kind of goes upstairs, and that'd be.
I'd be worrying.
That'd be interesting, absolutely. Like, and then you might get the best of Van de Beek if his old gaffer comes back as well. But that's for another day. We'll not talk about that. We'll not get into detail about that. It'd be sad for us, but we'll see. We'll figure it out. But everybody, thank you for listening. Again, we really appreciate your support. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the good stuff. We've been more active on it of late, so we'll make sure we're engaging with you guys a lot more. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you for the next episode. Take care.